Tinder what you use to start a fire? I mean, other than the app, but isn't
That's
it
Tinder. We're talking about tender. Like tender loving care.
Oh, it's actually with an E. See, I always thought it was with an I.
Well, I was thinking chicken, so.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of 911 Delta Tethered for Life podcast. As usual, this episode may not be suitable for all listeners due to language and content, so listen with care and stay safe out there.
Hey, y'all. Grab those headsets. It's time for another episode of 911 Delta Tethered for Life podcast. We're your crazy host, Quesadilla.
And Annabug.
Hey, guys. Welcome back to another episode of 911 Delta Tethered for Life podcast. Tonight we have a special guest, Jake, who is joining us. Welcome, Jake.
Hello.
If you want to go ahead and tell everyone a little bit about yourself and...
So I've been in public safety about 6 years now. I started on the East Coast doing EMS and fire. About a year and a half ago, 2 years, I made the transition to dispatch. And I am very comfy in a Rocky Mountain city. I work in a very large communication center with fire, police, and EMS, as well as separate call takers. So we have about 25 different call takers, as well as our dispatchers.
Whew. That is a lot.
Yep. Yeah, I was telling him that we had Michael on in the very beginning. And
yes.
So we know a little bit about how things work out there, but it's cool to have you on. Where were you on the East Coast?
I was in Virginia Beach, in your backyard.
I grew up in Virginia Beach. It was my backyard. Did you go to high school in Virginia Beach?
Yep, with the cops.
Where'd you go? Oh, one of those kids. Okay.
Gotcha. I'm just going to get judged. Remember, I said Great Neck.
Well, that's true. Or First Colonial. Oh boy. I went to Salem, so.
Okay. My best friend went to Salem, so no hate.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't have any. It was just Tallwood that we hated, but yeah. Even though half of us went to Tallwood when it was built, because I was going to high school when Tallwood was built, and so that was kind of a funny little rivalry, but very cool. Did you play any sports down there?
No, I did indoor soccer for about a month.
Okay.
No sports. I was a engineering kid, so I went to ATC across the street from Lansdowne.
Okay, yeah. Did you did you start out doing EMS down there?
Yeah, I volunteered for Virginia Beach EMS for about 2 years. Went through their academy before moving to Maryland and continuing my career up there.
Okay, cool. Because for people who don't know, Virginia Beach EMS is, I believe, still the largest all-volunteer thing in the country. Like, their EMS is still volunteer, and it's a pretty amazing feat for down there. So there's some career people mixed in now, but not like most mixed departments. So that's a pretty big feat, and that's kind of where I started too. I went through EMT class down there, and yeah, cool.
Awesome.
Small world. and you're like the same area as Michael. It's so weird how the universe puts things together.
It is. It's awesome.
So set the stage in your center for us. I know you said your call takers are separate. So you actually have designated call takers and designated dispatchers. But are you all still in the same building, or?
Yeah, so we're all in the same building. Without going into too much detail, we have about 26 call taker positions. So we have 26 desks. Depending on staffing, depends on how much those are filled. Dispatch is its own thing. So police dispatchers operate their own channels. Fire dispatchers operate their own channels. And EMS dispatchers operate their own channels. Our call takers will do everything from processing our police calls to EMD or EMS calls.
Gotcha.
So we are basically the backbone of the whole center. We put all the notes in and everything.
Right. You are the first line for sure. Do you do EMD, EFD, and EPD?
So no, we don't do EFD or EPD. We just do EMD. I've never experienced EPD or EFD. I have no idea what it's like.
And it's so funny to me for me to hear that because I've never used EPD, but Casey and I have both used EFD. And I can tell you that EFD is probably way more useful where you actually have wildland fires or in a metro area. It's so cumbersome and so it's just not user friendly for uh an agency like we have. Like I would imagine in like a center like yours in a place where they did a ton, like I'm thinking LA, it's probably great, or like, the California areas where there's a lot of wildfire, like it probably is good. But man, it just feels like it's a pet peeve of mine. Anyway, so I'm glad that you're not subjected to it, but I think it would be way more useful for you than it was for us for sure. I don't know. What do you think, Case? Like,
Oh God, yeah, I hated that stuff.
yeah, I can do EMD, but
Was
EFD just, yeah,
yeah, pain in
yeah.
the butt. What made you decide to begin a career in public safety?
It was kind of a couple thing with me and my ex. We went into our academy together, and I just got hooked and stayed. It's the adrenaline, I guess.
Yeah, well, definitely got that for sure.
Nice.
Easier that or the military, and the military didn't want me.
Oh, I'm a military brat, so I didn't want to subject myself to that, even though now at my age I'm like, that probably would have been a smart plan, but it's okay.
But pay's the same either way, going to EMS or the military. It's basically minimum wage.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly, right,
true,
um
true.
yes. So can you share a memorable, good or bad experience, or case from your career that's had a significant impact on you?
That's a tough one. I take a lot of calls a day, so everything just blends together. Oh, so starting out, I guess let's go with my first ever call as an EMT. I was on bike team during the rock and roll marathon.
Mhm.
So it's a team of two medics or EMTs, and since it was my first shift, I was the third. And we're on bicycles on the boardwalk at Virginia Beach. You know better than me, or you know
Yep.
better than anyone. So yeah, we're just patrolling. You get respond to calls. You just pedal away. I'm at the finish line, and I see this guy crawling towards the finish line. I was like, that's not right. So I get off my bike. I walk over to him. He is grunting and growling.
Oh shit.
Not alert. Not good. So I get on my knees. I sit in front of him. I put my arms out. I'm like, hey, dude, you gotta stop. You're not gonna make it. And he just walks on top of me. He crawls over me. I was like, hey guys, I need
He's
some help.
committed.
He is committed. That man, nothing was stopping him. And I will get that in a second. So we're calling for transport. So we call FD, like, hey, can we get some transport over here? We call EMS command, like we need a cart. There's no carts available. We have a critical patient, no transport available. It's just me and my two medics. Lo and behold, he's having a heat stroke. That man is about 6 foot tall, pure muscle, didn't drink a drop of water the entire marathon.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
His brain is cooking. He gets combative. Fire eventually comes and gives us additional resources. While we wait for transport, and he is fighting us. He is throwing punches and everything. We're holding him down. We're trying to cool him off. And eventually our transport comes. Now, to give you an idea, our transport is a golf cart. It is a gator cart with a little bed in the back and a little dinky little stretcher. So it was me in the front, EMT that drove it there, and 4 firefighters, my two medics in the back of this golf cart holding this man down.
Oh my
We're going
God.
lights and sirens in a golf cart going about 45 miles an hour down the ocean front going towards Station 14 across the street from the convention center where we have a field hospital set up. And he is screaming. We're rocking back and forth. We get him into the field hospital or our command, and they immediately RSI him. So I don't know if you guys know what RSI is.
Yeah, I do. Casey, you should, but
rapid sequence induction. It's when it's a series of drugs that sedate, paralyze, and analgesic. So basically, like the painkiller. So he's in a coma, medically induced coma, intubated, naked, in a bath of ice.
Oof, you had me up until that point.
So why that's significant is I'm a ship magnet. I've always been a ship magnet from the very start.
Mm-hmm.
My very first ship this came to, my very first day as a ship magnet, and it carries on to this day. I walk into the center, people go like, "Oh no,
Oh, not you."
Yeah,
Oh,
that's like the
that's
black
really
cloud of
set the
the.
stage my whole career right there."
funny. That's funny because when I lived down there, I did athletic training in high school, and I had a track meet, and I was a certified athletic trainer. I went to college for that, so I had many more experiences with track athletes. And let me tell you, the long distance runners are not my favorite. But I was at a track meet, high school track meet, and a girl got heat stroke, and I have got her like under a tree in the shade. I'm like bags of ice all over her, right? And my athletic trainer in high school was awesome, so she had trained us well. And I like something else happens, and I leave this girl, and I come back, and now the poor thing is like shivering,
Jesus.
and I'm like, oops, one extreme to the other. Sorry about that. Anyway, she didn't die from heat stroke, so it's fine. But and it was a lot easier to recover from the cold. But that's a funny story. I can't. So why was this guy like so committed? I mean, was it just the heat stroke you think that had him altered, or did he have another goal that you found out later?
As far as I know, all I know is that he did not drink water the entire marathon, and his brain cooked. But that man walked out of the hospital the next day, though.
Isn't that
Jeez.
crazy?
But
Mm.
body is amazing.
It
Now,
is
I'm
amazing.
5'5", 120 pounds, soaking wet. I was trying to stop this man. It was like,
He just crawled there for you.
Yeah, but I'm
we
sure
left
you
our
did.
bikes at the scene, and our bikes were like $5,000 a piece. So the
Oh my
Jeep was not
gosh.
very happy with us.
I bet not.
Well, it's okay. So how do you manage stress and maintain resilience in such a demanding role?
I go to therapy. So I used to go to therapy every other week. So that definitely helps. I stopped having things to talk about.
Yeah.
So it's now like every month, like once a month. But
That's good though, right? I guess.
It is good.
Like,
my department has really good mental health resources. We have a peer support team, and we have lots of mental health resources. I just said that, but like if you have a bad call or like a critical incident, they will send you home with pay, and they'll
nice.
have a
Wow.
mental health clinician reach out to you the next day or that night to debrief you. So we really focus on that, and we make sure that's in the forefront.
Yeah. Did you have the same experience in Virginia Beach?
We had what we call CISM, so critical incident stress management. So where if we needed it, it was called out to us, but never really had a call that needed it in Virginia Beach. Had one in Maryland though, where we all had a CISM meeting.
And do you think Maryland had good resources too, or?
It depends by department.
I think this is the first time I've actually heard like a department actually doing something for their folks, reference mental health. That's pretty amazing.
It is. And did you find that was your going to therapy, was that something that was already kind of instilled in you as a human prior to being in this field, or was it something that you got into from doing this?
So I didn't take care of my mental health when I was in the field. So like that came into like not substance abuse, but like I would drink.
Gotcha.
Not to excess, but like when I had a bad call, I would go home and drink, which not the solution. Bad idea. Don't do it. But coming into dispatch, I knew it was going to be a little bit harder. So I reached out and got a therapist and took care of my mental health. I didn't want to go back down that road.
Yeah. Cool. Good for you. Because, yeah, I mean,
Yes.
we've all done that, right? I wanted to ask because you're a different generation, right? And like, I wanted to say, oh, well, maybe as, but no. Okay. It was still you that took the initiative. But I mean, it's great that you did. But I was just wondering, like, was it something that
You
wasn't
mean
still
because, we're old as fuck?
right? Right. Because Casey and I are old as
I wasn't saying
crapola. Yeah. What are the key qualities or skills that you believe are essential for someone working in public safety?
so. There's the official answer, and then there's my answer.
Okay.
Official answer is compassion. You got to care about your callers, but don't care about them too much. You don't want to bring that stuff home, of course.
Right.
Being able to listen. So, not if you're on a channel or you're on the phone, you still need to be able to listen. You need to be able to tell what's happening in the background. Be attentive. It's really important. And same thing goes for the field. Having that compassion definitely plays a big role in being attentive of your surroundings. Can't tell you how many times I've almost been hit by a car. And another thing is being able to multitask. Definitely, I can't tell you how many things I'm doing at once on the phone. I'm looking at locations. I'm looking at background, looking at premise history, caution notes, typing all at the same time.
Yep.
And I've seen one too many trainees not able to do that.
Yep. It's a
That's
hard
a big
thing.
one. It is.
This is not a job for everyone.
No.
Definitely not.
It's an entry level
Definitely.
position, but that doesn't mean you can do it.
It
That is
doesn't mean that
truth.
it's for the entry level brain. Like, I guess,
Yeah.
you have
We're
to,
definitely a special breed, that's for sure.
yeah. Yes, for sure.
All right, Jake, what advice would you give someone who is new or considering a career in public safety?
Do your research and have a support system before you go in. You're going to be seeing things, hearing things, dealing with things that you could have never imagined you're going to deal with.
Yeah, definitely something that normal humans are not used to, that's for sure.
Yeah, humans are not equipped to deal with the things that we deal with every day. And having someone that you can go home to and vent to, or someone you can talk to when you need to, is very important. If you don't have that, you're not going to last. You're just going to implode on yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. I was listening to another podcast today, actually, and we're gonna have the guy on that hosts that podcast. But he was saying that, one of the things that or maybe it was his guest, but one of them was saying that, one of the things they would always hear from people was, oh, but you trained for that. You trained for those things, right? To see those things or hear those things or whatever. And he's like, no, we trained for the situation, right? We trained on how to deal with, the situation that was happening, but nobody trained us how to deal with our mental health after. We weren't trained for after. We were just trained for during. So
And
Yeah.
they can train you through scenarios all throughout your academy, but nothing's going to prepare you for the hysteric mother or that help call or that 1099 call from an officer that's being shot at.
exactly.
The pure chaos cannot be replicated.
Right, exactly. It definitely cannot. And as you well know, it's usually like one or two things, right? It's either super quiet when something crazy happens. Yeah, right. It's super Q word when something happens, or all the shit is hitting the fan at the same time. Like there's no, it's kind of a normal busy, it's kind of a normal day, and then, oh look, we sort of amp up. It's either cold, hot,
Yep.
It's just like, so yeah, you can't train for that. You can't replicate that experience. And most places, and I don't care whether you're police, fire, EMS, or a dispatcher, most places do not teach you about your mental health or the physiology behind it. There's, I don't know about you guys, but like in our academy, I think we had like a 2-hour class or something on dispatcher stress.
Yeah. Complete waste of time, that
Right.
entire
And it's like,
academy.
get exercise, eat healthy, don't drink. Okay. Don't have too
Okay.
much sex, right? Like, what the? Okay. I mean,
Why is that a thing?
I
Right.
That sounds like
well,
stress relief to me.
right. I mean,
Right.
it can be a sign of, people who are into risk-taking behaviors will, do crazy things.
Okay,
But
yeah, if you're at work and the grinder notification's going off every 5 minutes, that's a red flag.
right. Right. But like, yeah. But yeah, it was just like, this is not useful information. And that's why I was interested in, since you've been in a few different states, did you notice any measurable differences?
Absolutely. Because Virginia Beach is a very large department and it operates like a city department. So it definitely has those resources.
Right.
But then when you go to the smaller departments like in Maryland, there's not those resources. It's by county and then your individual department.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah,
and
I
it's
mean, I
like
was
one
kind of
volunteer that handles your SISM. It's like someone that you know. It's like, oh, okay. Well, you were there too, bud.
right. Right.
You good?
Or it's that person that you're like, I wouldn't tell you that my cat died. Like,
Exactly.
I'm not going to tell you a thing. Yeah.
I saw you at the banquet. I know how you behave.
Right. Right.
Right.
Yes. And it's interesting because we had a friend of ours on who was a Fairfax County police officer. And of course they have tons of resources up there too. And same thing, he's like, oh yeah, we just have a psychologist in the building and we just walk over there and have a chit chat with them. And I'm like,
I don't like that.
chit chat, like, okay, like,
Yeah. I don't know about all that.
yeah, we never had that available. So
Yeah, our department sends us to a compassion fatigue class.
yeah, I've done that.
Yeah, it's like a 12-hour class, and then we do CIT training.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a psychologist comes in and talks to us about 4 hours. And it makes you want to fall asleep, honestly, but it's good to have that.
Right. I mean, I kind of thought that CIT was actually a little more beneficial because then when you learn about how people act when they're in crisis, then you're like, oh shit, that might be me. Okay.
Yeah. Like the
Is it
whole.
me? Am I the drama?
Is that me? I think some days that's me, and you
Like
learn
listening
about,
to the people and hearing, like, I don't know about y'all, but in the CIT class I took, you had the earphones in or whatever, and you were listening to other voices, and I'm thinking, well, damn, this is me on a regular. Like, I'm listening, answering, we're having a whole damn conversation.
I feel like the more schizophrenics I listen to on the phone, the more I'm going to become schizophrenic.
right.
Right.
Right. Right. And also when like that they're talking to somebody else and you don't get offended because you're just like, and then your trainee's like, well, he just said fuck you, and you're like, oh, he wasn't talking to me.
Right.
I can tell when he's talking to me and when he's talking to his little friend. I mean, Oh,
For sure.
yep. Yeah, we all have those people. So what would you say, like, as you have been doing this now in the EMS world and now in dispatch, where do you think we're falling, like the agencies are falling short in preparing dispatchers for what is coming their way?
I feel very prepared. Can't speak for anyone else.
Well, yeah, I mean, because you came out of EMS and you came from a couple different places. So I think that gives you, a wealth of experience, even in a short amount of time. But do you think, like, from the agencies that you've been, like, that you've seen, do you feel like there's one particular thing that for the person that doesn't have that experience, for the 19-year-old that's like, oh, this might be a fun job? What are we?
That's literally my best friend right now. He joined when he was 18. So
Gotcha. Well, do you think he was prepared, or?
I think he was prepared. His school actually had a 911 class in high school, so he was pretty well prepared.
Oh,
that's
But
cool.
what I think would be
Yeah.
beneficial to new dispatchers or call takers would be some basic medical knowledge. Be able to recognize signs and symptoms of things. Because Pro QA or EMD is like very straightforward. It's like a script, you like follow it. But sometimes the callers don't give you anything,
Right.
and I hate Pro QA. I hate it with a passion.
Ugh.
As an
Yeah, me
EMT,
too.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
Amen.
I feel to make that call lights or sirens non-emergent.
Yeah.
But having that skill set of knowing like what's going on, like the urgency, be able to put signs and symptoms together to get that chief complaint might be really helpful. Or understanding why we're doing certain things, like why do we do the stroke skill? Why do we give ASA? What's the mechanism of ASA? Why do we do compressions, or why do we do mouth to mouth for certain types of calls?
That's good.
Because I think it would help people be able to process those EMD calls better if they know why they're doing it, and less mistakes we made.
Agreed.
For sure.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And that the academy, at least used to, their recommendation was that people who use the program were at least an EMT, if not a medic. And I think that's so interesting because that's not how it's put out to the dispatch community, right? It's put out as this is for the layperson to know what the hell's going on. But that's not really how the academy designed the program at all. And in fact, the Richmond Ambulance Authority is, they are all medics. And you actually, when you get promoted, I don't exactly know if it's like it's a sergeant position or whatever, but you basically get promoted off the road in an ambulance to dispatch as a medic. And of course, not all of them are terribly happy about that transition, but that's because, and I had to retake my EMD once down there because my boss forgot to send my test in. But anyway, and I was like, I'm gonna ask them all these questions. And the guy was super nice that taught the class, and he was, he's telling me, he's like, well, we do that because that's how the academy, has put this out. And I knew when I took my initial class that the academy really wanted everyone to have their EMT, but most dispatch organizations can't do that. So, but I just think it's so funny because it's not how it's put out. Like, that's not what the agencies tell the dispatchers when they come in.
Right.
And
it's worded simple.
It is. And
it's just, it's so many branches that like you can just pick one wrong thing and then you're non-compliant. If you
right, exactly
understand why it's non-compliant, then you're gonna keep making the same mistake.
Right, for sure. And I think there's a lot of agencies that also don't do a good job of queuing calls, doing QA. I worked with one supervisor once who did a fantastic job of that in whatever 16 plus years. 18 years. I don't even know where we are now. But anyway, so yeah, I think that's true for EMS. I think it's true for fire. I mean, Casey knows. I harped on the fire dispatchers that I would train, like, you need to do ride alongs, you need to study, you need to read the SOPs, you need to do, because I'm married to a firefighter paramedic, so it's regular talk, RSA, RSI, ROSC, whatever, all of those things, different types of tubes, like, that's regular conversation in my house. So also firefight talk, that's regular conversation in my house. So when I hear it over the
You say
radio,
firefighter talk, I think of not what you're thinking about.
now, um, it, but it's true. And now I am not, as Casey's much better with the law enforcement side of it.
Oh yeah, give me that any day.
Yeah, and I'm like, what are you dum-dums doing? Like, you're
I'm learning day by day.
right? Like,
Now, does
what?
your agencies have you do ride-alongs?
Yes, but
Okay.
usually
When I
one,
first, yeah,
when
well,
you first
and
start.
now, like, when I first started, we actually were on the apparatus and doing, like, actually going to calls, but then they changed that, and you would, like, ride around
Right.
with the battalion chief or whatever, which I'm sorry, but most times that is boring. Like,
Well, right. And you do get to know where this, I mean, you're depending on where you live, like, I mean, out of 11 stations, at least you get to kind of see where they are and how they're different, because we have some that are in very rural areas and some that are not. So it, it's good, but also you're not getting to see how they actually run calls, how
yeah,
fire and EMS work together, or don't. But, you know, um, why? Why do you send an ambulance and a fire truck? A
yeah,
lot of people have no freaking clue. Hell, I mean, they're as bad as the callers. Why are we sending both?
just
Well,
do
that's
it.
for an ambulance. Why is there a fire truck? Because
Right,
ambulances ride fire trucks, hon.
right. The fire
Yeah,
truck is
I took it
coming.
upon myself recently to, I rode with every agency the past 2 months. So I rode with PD, I rode with EMS, I rode with fire. I rode with fire, I think, last week. That was an adventure.
I bet in a metro area, it very much is like,
In our first 45 minutes, we already did 4 medical calls.
oh my God.
Jeez.
And it was funny because the podcast that I listened today, the guy said, um, he said every fire department um is an EMS agency. He's like, they're gonna hate me saying that, but it's so true.
It's so true.
It is, like, I mean, unless you are like, here we have some rural, in the state of Virginia, there's some rural volunteer fire departments that run, they don't necessarily run as first responders. So they don't run all those EMS calls. But most of them, that is not the case. You run way more EMS calls than fire calls.
And that's what the fire service is turning into. It's just turning into an EMS service. That's
Mhm.
nationwide. Virginia is weird because Virginia has these little things called rescue squads. They're just like ambulance stations.
Oh my gosh.
We don't have
So
that in Maryland. We don't have that out here. That's a Virginia thing.
it is. And so this was so funny because um of course Virginia Beach EMS, they had the rescue squads, right? And so, but then they also had the heavy rescue apparatus, right?
The squad teams, I remember those.
And they called them squad teams. So then you come, when I started dispatching, um we called our volunteer rescue squads in the first place that I worked at, rescue squads, right? But we also had 2 squads, fire apparatus heavy rescues that they also called squads. Well, then I switched jurisdictions, and I knew the lingo. I'm married to a firefighter medic. I know the lingo. We would get calls from a neighboring jurisdiction for mutual aid. And okay, so actually we would get calls from 2 neighboring jurisdictions. They were on opposite sides of us.
I see where this was going.
Okay, so the one that was where I had previously worked. And when they called and asked for a rescue or a rescue squad, they meant EMS. When the other jurisdiction called and asked for a squad or rescue squad, they meant a heavy rescue. And this would often happen at like 3 a.m. when the head shed's not awake. Back then, depending, the one jurisdiction we could just send to, but the other one we had to tone out the chief and ask if they wanted a heavy rescue. But if they just needed EMS in a certain area, we could send that. And you do not know how many nights poor chiefs got woken up because some dumb call taker and then a dispatcher who either didn't read the notes or didn't know would call and then there would be this whole thing and it would be all confusing and they'd have to go back, or a unit would get sent and they would be like, no, that's not right. Oh my God. It used
I
to
might have been guilty of
drive.
that a few times.
Oh my God. It used to drive me insane.
Oops.
Like it was, I would just be like, this is the stupidest thing. For a few years there, man, it was rough times with the rescue squads and oh my God. And I would be like, I'd catch it and I'd be like, no, it's Orange calling. They want a fucking ambulance. And no, Stafford wants a heavy rescue for an accident on 95. Not an ambulance. Yeah.
So I want to go on a little tangent here because I just want to get some background on Virginia Beach because I don't think we went into much detail about it. So when I first started EMS, so Virginia Beach is it's a group of 10 volunteer rescue squads that all operate underneath one department.
Right.
So it's the umbrella of the city, and then they have 10 individual rescue squads. The rescue squads handle everything EMS. So from ALS to BLS calls, they go out there, they handle all transport. When I joined, they did everything. Fire only did fire.
Right.
So EMS would do heavy rescue, extrication, search and rescue, bike team, water rescue, dive team, and we had an aviation team. So we had all that, and fire just did fire. It was very unique.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And it was amazing. They've moved away from that. Squad team no longer exists.
Right.
Bike team is still a thing, but every now and then. Search and rescue is a thing every now and then. PD handles that. Aviation is gone. And then the marine rescue and dive team are still a thing. So again, fire department took over a lot of EMS's roles.
Right.
So fire handles extrications. Fire handles more EMS calls now. They have paramedic engines and paramedic trucks. So again, fire service is EMS service.
Right.
It's regional too. Because out here they don't call them
Mhm.
tankers; they call them tenders.
No.
Tankers are currently a plane here.
Okay.
Oh.
So what do they call them out there?
They call them tenders.
Oh, I have heard that before, and I always wonder why the hell. Because
it's the exact same thing.
Well, and yeah, and isn't Tinder what you used to start a fire? I mean, other than the app, but isn't
That's
it
tender? We're talking about tender, like tender loving care.
Oh, it's actually with an E. See, I always thought it was with an I.
Well, I was thinking chicken, so
I'm gonna have to ask Matt about that one. Why in the hell do they call them tenders? Or maybe my brother knows. Maybe it's a wildland.
Like we call ambulances boxes out east. Here we call them buses.
Buses, yeah. Yeah.
That's some like SVU shit right there.
Yeah.
Bus.
Yeah.
That's
all
cool.
that slang is, yeah. Do you would
I was like, at first when I said box, they're like, "What the hell are you talking about?" I was
Right.
like, an ambulance.
The
Right.
gut
Well, when I
box,
hear-
damn it.
Ambulance.
Right.
Yeah, when I hear bus, I either think of a school bus or my son calls his damn cigarettes buses. So there you go.
Oh, that's funny. Yep.
all I.
The wambulance. That's
The
that was a
wambulance.
great Virginia Beach term. Yep. Which made me just think of something else. And then now I forgot. Lord. There was oh, it had to do with the fire. Oh, what do you call volunteer fire rescue people out there?
Lucas's.
Lucas's.
That's a joke.
Oh.
No.
That's a good one though. It took me a second, but that's funny. as shit.
We don't really have volunteer out here. I was very surprised because I want to get back into the service without
Mhm.
getting paid first because I just want to get back into it. And there's barely any volunteer here.
And see, I don't remember there being that's interesting, but I don't remember there being a sort of a derogatory nickname for them in Virginia Beach. There may be now.
Because Virginia Beach loves their volunteers.
Right, because it was the thing.
Well, Jake, we appreciate you joining us tonight. But before we let you go, we're going to do these quick little rapid fire things real quick with you.
Okay.
So, would you rather cook or eat out?
I like cooking.
Favorite TV show or movie?
That's a hard one because I go through TV shows like crazy at work. Right now it's Fallout. The Fallout show is pretty good.
Okay. Have to check that one out.
Yeah.
Something on your bucket list.
Skydive.
Oof. And a go-to song that you like to jam to.
Anything Third Eye Blind.
Okay.
Oh.
And your dream vacation.
Probably just a cruise.
Yeah. Well, awesome.
Anywhere in particular, or just anywhere?
Anywhere warm. I'm not doing no Alaska or Antarctica cruise.
Isn't that the damn truth? Who wants to pay to be cold? That's
Exactly.
dumb.
I can cold for free.
Yeah, we're in the Rockies, indeed. Woo! I have never been colder than when I was snowboarding in the Rockies. Holy crap!
We do appreciate you being on with us.
Thank you. This was fun.
Until next week, we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
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 Okay, y'all. So who's gonna write in and let us know where the term tender originated from in regards to fire trucks, not chicken?